this is my last show on Black Country Week for a while. I'm taking a sabbatical, and I was asked to, those last two songs, which were
Ed Sheeran, and Andrea
Bocelli,
and Calvin Harris.
Andrea Bocelli and Calvin Harris. No, Sam Smith's in there, is he somewhere?
It was Calvin Harris featuring Sam Smith.
There you go. So anyway, they are for. My lad is looked after by Acorns Hospice at home. So at the moment he's in his room with three lovely ladies, Yasmin, Emma and Matilda. And they wanted those songs. So there you go. I've done it. I dedicated the songs to them. I can now go home without fear.
And as Ian says there, this is his last show for a while. He's disappearing, and he's handed the reins over to me. You're a brave man, Ian.
No, I think it was a sane and sensible decision.
First one of your life.
I hope you've enjoyed it. I mean, I think it's a great show. I mean, this hour we've just done with Les and Pete. I think, for a community radio station, to be able to bring in, local politicians, local people who are active in politics as well, like our second guest is, Stuart, and to have a chat, just have that discussion, and to talk about local stuff and how national politics influences decisions made locally. I think for a community radio station, we're all volunteers. We give up our time to do this. All our guests give up their time. It's been a wonderful experience for me, and I really hope you enjoy it.
So far so good. I am enjoying it so far. But Ian will be back in the new year at some point in some aspect. Some big interviews maybe. We may be bringing it on with Ian, but we'll keep you informed of that. Right, our guest for the second hour is former councillor for Halesowen North, Councillor Stuart Henley. What is your role, Stuart, within the new formed, being recognised by the Electoral Commission after months of talking and whatever? The Black Country Party is now officially a political party. What is your role?
Well, my role is a leader, but as this party, we're more one. We've got to have a title in there to form the party anyway. But we're all there, we all chuck our ideas in, we all get working together and get out there in the community.
And it's you lost in May, as I did. So that's why you are former councillor. I'm former councillor, and funnily enough, Ian is also.
I am, yes.
Former councillor. And in the first hour, we were joined by former leader and soon-to-be former leader. It's all about the formers today.
It's just a bunch of losers.
Well, I wasn't going to say that. So obviously. You lost in May. The time came you got disenchanted with the political party you've been with for many years.
About 14 years.
14 years. You were probably Dudley UKIP branch's longest standing member, and you left UKIP to pursue more localised ideas, and the Black Country Party has arose from that. I mean, what. I don't want to say what made you leave UKIP, because that's you made those reasons quite clear, I think, on social media.
Yeah.
But you've left UKIP, but you still want to remain as a local campaigner, a local champion.
That's right. As joining UKIP, because they was active, and that's why I got involved initially many years back. But getting elected and going into council, as I was talking earlier, I found a different side, where I'm more community-based, want to get involved with stuff than political. Mm-hmm. Yes, everything comes down to politics at the end of the day, so it has to, but like the Halesowen Carnival, bringing the Shell back to Shell Corner, just my own personal things, getting involved with locally. Mm-hmm. And that's it's not tied around politics, it's trying to make our area better, the Black Country better, and that's where the party comes in now, by having representatives from all sides of the spectrum.
From different areas of the Dudley Borough, because there's more to Dudley Borough than just Dudley. I think.
There is.
I might have heard you say.
I have said that quite a few times, yes. It does. I don't say annoy me, but you hear about Dudley this, Dudley that, but Dudley Council should be really Dudley Borough Council when it's spoken about, because Halesowen gets forgotten about, Starbridge, other parts of the place, and we do need help out there.
I think it's safe to say on social media you are probably the Hales Owen's biggest champion and biggest advocate. You won't let people ignore Hales Owen, especially on social media, which is a great thing. It's a great thing, and that's what I think. That's what makes people like what you do, and the fact that you are a local champion. And I think that sort of explains why you've gone down the route with the Black Country Party. So tell the listeners what the Black Country Party. What's the concept behind the Black Country Party? What's its aims and ambitions?
As I said, I'm more community-based personally, and the Black Country Party has been talked about for a long time now. But, as I said, I'm active, so I like to get things going. I thought it was a good idea, and before coming out of UKIP, I was close to coming out before the elections and everything anyway. But my term was till the full term, so that happened then. The Black Country Party is about, like I said, people from all spectrums, from the left, the right, the centre, whatever side it is, all coming together for the community. Far too long, my personal view, is local authorities have been dictated to from London, from the London parties, and it's all you get is bickering, especially in the full council. Okay, that's what they want to do. The pantomime side is it's been called before and that lot. And we've got to start looking. If there's a good idea there, we work together on that idea, not just throw it out because the left or the right says, well, we are going with that because they've come up with it. We've got to work together and make this area a better place. Yeah,
sort of. I mean, in the first hour, we talked to Les and Pete with sort of. I think there is a lot of broad agreement in Dudley across political parties, away from the pantomime, as you say, of full council. It's a thing where you're talking about local representatives representing just their area, so their local champions. Going back to something Les mentioned in the first hour about. He would like to go back to the days where the individual got elected rather than the party. Unfortunately, the way things have progressed and the way it is now, the national picture, which we all agreed on, does dictate a lot. So you've got a lot of work to do to get the message out to local people. Traditionally, that's been done through leaflets. Do you think that that's enough?
It's not enough. We've got to do every aspect, radio, at social media, any way we can. But personally, I think it's up to the other two parties, the other parties as well, actually getting that across as well, because it's time we started promoting locally. And yes, Labour, Tory, then national parties, but they need to start banging the drum about voting for the person on the street instead of the party badge. And people might start thinking different about them as well then, and that's why the Black Country Party comes in.
Yeah, I think it's... I mean, if I was involved and I was trying to promote the Black Country Party, I think that you could be, especially as party leader, which I didn't know you were party leader till you just said.
I've kept it quiet.
As party leader, you've got. I think you could be set up as a very, very good example. Once you became a councillor after working locally for 10 plus years, you got involved and helped to bring back the Hales Owen Carnival, which you've taken on. You're still chairman.
I'm still chairman of that, so that's approximately about 4 years running now, after 40 years of being vanished. In
many areas of the borough, there's people who have fun days, because they're not big enough to really be called a carnival, who have been doing it for 10 years plus, and they're nowhere near on the scale that you've got the Hales Owen Carnival to in such a very, very short space of time. I mean, it's immense. So you are known, especially around Hales Owen, and for that sort of thing, and... the Shell, I actually thought the Shell would get you re-elected in May. I really did. I thought that was a massive thing to happen in such a small area. Because you've done those things. That's what you're trying to promote, is that you vote for the local person who is here to represent you as a local individual, not a rosette of any particular party. And how many people have you got already in position around the borough, and will people only be standing where they live?
I can't guarantee on that, and I'm not going to say yes or no.
I'm just thinking of the local champion perspective.
The main side of it at the moment, it seems to be the interest mainly coming from the Dudley Borough side for the Black Country Party. We have got some interest over Sandwell, and as we are trying to reach out to Wolverhampton, Walsall as well. We have got some events coming up. I think one's in the 14th of December, which is going to be a launch party and Christmas party. We will be at the outside the Albion ground at their fan zone coming up as well soon. We'll be on their big screen and have a stall there as well. So that's coming up in the next few weeks. So we are reaching out there, trying to get the message out there. We've got a lot coming up. And our aim is, in the future, a lot of these events, we want to start focusing on fundraising to actually help fund local charities, local events and stuff like that as well, because that's what the Black Country Party is about. It's a party badge, but councils are cut and everything else, and we want to try and work different ways of helping people out with funding. Yeah, and if we can raise bits of money, that's the way we're going.
So it's about. I mean, it sounds similar to the way I worked as a councillor, and obviously the way you worked as a councillor, is to be that local representative, a go-to for people who need help of any description, not necessarily just council help. I mean, I used to get people approach me with things that absolutely nothing to do with the council, but you try and help anyway. And you've also got the resources of the council as a councillor, which sometimes is not a council issue, but you can use the council's resources as such, and get information and knowledge from some very clever people in the council. So becoming a councillor gives you access to massive things that you couldn't get.
It's harder to get from outside than it is if you're inside there.
Absolutely. So getting elected would be big, but you have to look at the big picture. I mean, Richard Taskar on Facebook Live has said it will make a difference. So, you know, but he asks where do you see the Black Country Party in 4 years? Now, if you get councillors elected and it starts to roll and there's a bit of a snowball effect and it grows, in 4, 8, 12 years' time, you could be in a position where you lead Dudley Council. You actually have control of Dudley Council. Now, when you said you got people from the left and from the right, this is a question that Ian posed to me 6 months ago when we talked about this on air. You've got to make collective decisions.
Yeah.
So, do you feel that that's achievable to make those collective decisions for the borough with people who've got such vast?
I think it is. At the end of the day, it's everyone coming together anyway. If it affects a certain ward, there's no whipping for elected members when they get elected.
And that's where the problem could come.
It could come, but at least it shows we're honest and we will fight for our ward. Mm-hmm. And yes, in council it might be harder, but we've not. If we did end up leading the council, which I think is a bit ambitious at the moment, but if it did happen, if it did happen, fair enough. But it shows that we're honest. If you've got someone who's a certain area is affected and they vote a different way, fine, let them vote that way, and that's how it should be.
Which is how we had it in UKIP anyway. Roger Scott, for instance, voted for the budget. Yeah. The last budget that we were in, we all abstained or voted. I think. I can't remember which way. I think Bill voted no.
Yeah.
Everyone else abstained, and Roger voted yes.
So which is the way it should be.
Totally know it. But as long as you're transparent with your decisions, that you have a discussion within your group and you can't agree with this, and it's a democratic result that comes from the leading group, people should like democracy.
Yeah, okay.
Devil's advocate.
I'm trying to. I was on council in 2014 when UKIP came in on the it was the MEP elections, really, the biggest national party. First time it was been anybody other than the Conservatives or Labour for decades. You all come on the council, and it was almost like we don't agree with anything you're doing. We're going to do it our own way. Right? You don't do that. That's rubbish. This is bad. This is bad. And you know, to be fair, and I think you probably recognise this, it got a few people's backs up at the time. Yeah. But actually, what the UKIP group did over time was evolve. And started to use the procedures and the practices to advance aspirations. So we've seen. I mean, for me, the biggest revolution on the local council meetings, the pantomime, was that actually we've seen more and more motions going in, and that was because of you lot. That was you lot going in thinking, well, how can we use what's there in front of us to further what we want? What happens then is if something like the Black Country Party did, not even to the point of getting to where UKIP were, effectively the power brokers in there, how do you resolve, and I think where Dean was coming from, without a whip. How do you arrive at a collective decision? Because one of the things you talked about is, if you're elected to be a local councillor, you serve your ward. But actually, if you're elected as a councillor, you serve Dudley Borough, which is one of the statements you made. Actually, we need to talk about Dudley Borough. That sometimes the needs of your ward are contradictory to the needs of the borough. And these challenges are what elected groups on councils have to wrestle with all the time. The whip is one way of doing that.
Yeah. I agree to a point, but I don't like the whip. At the end of the day, we are independents as such under the Black Country Party banner, so we should have a say. And if there's a breakaway of a couple who want to vote one way or the other, so be it, that's up to them. In the chamber, there's enough people from both sides. Sorry, I get the mic shoved in my face here, sorry. There's enough people from both sides. As I said, we represent all sides. And there's a mix. So whichever way you're going to get a vote or a backing or support from left, right, middle, whatever, to actually get things through, and that's everyone working together.
Absolutely. Right, Craig Lees on Facebook has said he hopes that the party can shake off the UKIP baggage. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's only 2 members so far who are ex-UKIP members.
Yes, I'm not going to name people in the party yet, some of them, because it's early days and we're getting our representatives in certain places. But at the moment, yes, we've got 2 who are part of the committee setting this up from UKIP. We have got ex-Tory members who was in the ex-Tory councillor, sorry, who's part of the party.
Have you?
Yes.
Dean just got... Really? Who's this then?
We've got people from Labour members in the party.
So you've got more ex-Labour than you have ex-UKIP?
I'd say yes.
Yeah,
and Tory. I'll say it is a mix. And I had a message off someone from the Green Party yesterday, day before, interested in the party. So it is waking people up, and this is what it needs. It's the localism. It's bringing things. Yeah. It's bringing power. Well, I say power. I don't like power, but it's bringing that way back of
power to the
together.
People.
Yeah, it's working.
I think you have to use the word power there. It's power to the people, which was a catchphrase from someone in the
Citizen Smith.
Before my time.
I knew he didn't remember that. Right, we're going to take a short break and we'll be back talking more about the Black Country Party.